Hi everyone, welcome to another hashtag Ask Jim, and it is the Origin Decider tonight. So if you are watching the State of Origin, good luck to whatever your side is. We've got a lot to get through tonight, so there's been a few important changes and things like that. So make sure you leave your questions and comments in there as well. So let's just touch on straight away the South Australia outbreak. So we've got people commenting on Adelaide and your thoughts and what's going to happen in relation to Jim's group.
Well, it says 6 days, hopefully no more than 6 days. There's been about 2 cases or something from one family, which is an incredible overreaction to shut down the state. Anyway, we've said, as per normal, if franchisees aren't legally allowed to work, then we suspend their fees and we'll proportionally reduce all the franchisor fees. So that's just normal.
Now, there is some that I think can work still. Is there some exempted?
Yeah, some divisions can work, and also people can still do NDIS and stuff like that for mowing. But we don't, if they're not legally allowed to do most of their jobs, we don't charge.
And it's only 6 days as well, guys, so let's hope it's just touch
Hopefully,
wood. Touch wood, it's only 6 days. It doesn't go any longer as well, so that was one of the updates as well. And I also want to remind people, on Monday, we are doing a mow for charity at Haydar Hussein's, the founder of Jim's Cleaning Group House, at 11 a.m, and we're going to live stream that on the Facebook page and Instagram. We've actually set up a donation link for that. So Haydar starting with a $1,000 donation, so we want to try and get the donations up there. So hopefully on the day we can create...
For Beyond Blue.
For Beyond Blue, all to Beyond Blue. And we want to create a bit of hype with that one as well. And also, I want to talk a couple of things as well. The Monopoly comp is still live. So I sent you through an email already from someone who, 25 words or less, who wants to play with Jim, which was a nice one. So you can visit on jims.net and under social media, go Jim's Monopoly comp. You've got 3 more days for 6, speaking of board games, 6 signed Monopolies. So Jim always refers to diplomacy, so that's what this thing is out here as well. He needs
this is a diplomacy map here, so you can know.
Yeah, so Jim, if you watch every week, you'll know that Jim loves diplomacy. I've started getting it online. I haven't read the rules that much, so I've got to...
yeah, I brought the rules along so you can read them. He keeps on doing strange things like moving his armies into the sea, which as any normal general knows, if you say go to your army and push into the sea and say quick march, they're going to drown.
Yeah, I didn't expect people to betray the alliances as well. That's the other thing as well. I've got to get over as well.
Yeah, the Austrians are pretty tricky.
The Austrians are very, very tricky.
And that's Richard Hill, who used to work here, I must say.
Yes, Richard. Was it Richard Long or Richard Hill?
Oh, Richard Long, yes, of course.
Yeah, I don't like his name of his, he's got VIP Home Services are the best is his name, just to antagonise you, he's told me. All right, so I've had a couple of questions submitted via the Ask Jim, and also some franchisors give me some things as well. So they're watching at the start, so I'll get straight into it. So, training. What is the go with training, with the hubs and things like that? Maybe you want to explain for people.
Well, we want to go back to training sessions. If we can't travel, what we want to do is to have people in a location. So if you're in Victoria, you come to Murrabak, which we can legally hold them on. If you can't get to Victoria because of quarantine, then you go and you gather in a room and you do a direct video link. And there's somebody there and we cater the food and somebody's there to answer questions and so forth. Now, the only changes we're making is some people have actually been told that they can do the online course and have it all booked in and stuff, so we're going to let that go through. But as soon as that lot are through, because what we're finding is that people are just not doing it. Too many people are not doing the full training. They're just setting the camera up and they're just walking away, and they're starting making all kinds of really, really bad mistakes because they don't know the system.
Yeah, which is annoying because they're only hurting themselves in their business.
Some people are doing it well, but unfortunately a lot aren't. So we think it's a better environment. We have a group of people together, and then they can talk together and ask questions and so forth.
We did it the first time. So the first time, if you remember at the Conference Centre, we had those 2 rooms set up and we had all the trainers in there, and that worked pretty well because they could ask the questions and things like that. So we are going to replicate that same thing, but in these state. We might call them hubs if you're familiar with the hub term, but these state rooms. So we'll get more notes on that one as well. I also want to mention tonight, if you share the stream, you go into the running again to win this Jim's Mowing little prize pack. I found some old merch, so I'm going to keep giving these merch out as we can do. So we've got a bottle and stuff like that in there. So all you need to do is hit share on that stream as well. Now let's get into the questions. So David's gone, Jim and Joel, what a great video of Eric and his coffee. Thanks for that. When can we expect off the video of Craig you did, Joel? I hope he mentioned his trainer. Yes, so we did interview the Jim's Antennas Warrnambool franchisees, and they did mention you, David, and we'll share that soon. Eric Jurgen says, Jim and Joel was extremely concerned when I heard about the outbreak in South Australia. What concerns me even more so is that apparently Daniel Andrews has been in contact with South Australian Premier to offer help and advice. I'm so fearful for all the people in South Australia if Daniel Andrews has anything
yes, get Daniel Andrews to show you how to run a quarantine system. If you really want to let loose a plague on South Australia, Daniel Andrews is an expert in doing that, so yes.
Yeah, you got a good genuine laugh out there, Jim, Eric. There, that was quite a good one. And also, I want to mention as well, another one that we had come through to me by a few franchisors is the new complaints process for franchisors and franchisees. you want to maybe explain that one?
Yes, that's caused a bit of a
kerfuffle.
bit of a stir.
Bit of a stir in the back.
What we're doing is we want to see the complaints dealt with, and sometimes they're not. The complaint comes through and nothing happens with them. So what we're doing is, if the complaint isn't properly dealt with, we're sending out an email to the franchisee and to the franchisor saying this hasn't been settled. So either talk about it, get it deleted if that's what should happen, or at least do something about it. Now, if and only if a franchisee refuses to make contact and talk about it, the franchisor can stop them from taking work. It won't be done by us, it'll be done by the franchisor.
Okay, so is that where some confusion was over, just thinking the door automatically
Yeah, I've got
right.
Liv to change the wording, so it'll show this new wording. And the new wording will also show what you can do with complaints and how you can get them deleted and so forth.
Okay, so yeah. I presume that's where all the confusion came from there.
Yeah, it sounds like we're going to shut people off from work, but that's not going to happen. It's more, sometimes franchisees refuse to discuss the complaint. And the franchisor tries to ring them and they just don't get back to them.
Yeah.
So which is uncommon, but it does happen. In that case, the franchisor can simply say, listen, if you don't want to talk about it, I'm not going to give you any more leads until I understand what's gone wrong with this particular job, because you're letting the side down.
Yeah, so it's all about getting that customer service and just raising that stance so the complaint gets sorted.
Yes.
Yeah, no worries. So those changes Jim's taken on board from anyone who's emailed Jim, I'm sure. And
I've had a busy day. I can. The stuff keeps on piling in.
well, I had no idea about it because I was saying to Rocky, the advisory division was yesterday. I never heard about it. Then this morning I got a few calls.
We asked for this to be done some time ago, but
Right.
I was just surprised when it happened today.
There we go. So look,
But I certainly knew all about it. But when
so there's the clarification, guys. So make sure you click this up or you watch the replay in the first 6 minutes for anyone who's unsure of it as well. So Brett Gullich tuned in and said Queensland. So go Queensland tonight. Jim's Mowing, Helks of Bay, plenty tuning, which is fantastic. Then Ben's put in the donation link for Jim as well. So we're trying to get to 3K. So we're trying to get that up limit. And then we're going to keep going down here. Is Jim's Blind Cleaning and Repairs tuned in, which is fantastic because I had a question via the Ask Jim box about that. Now, I don't know if this is a question per se, but it's from Francis Horton who submitted it and said, I need someone to come down and take my Venetian blinds, clean them, and then hang them up. 7 blinds. So it was a quote request. So we do have Jim's blinds and repairs. So we did flick that to the call center and the customer got sorted. So that was via the Ask Jim box as well. Then we have one here, which is from David McDonald. Hey, how long is your grass? I bet it hasn't been mowed in months. So I don't know. We've shown Jim a drone shot of Haydar's area. It's quite big, isn't it?
it's a big property.
So I think
The house is bigger than most people's yards.
But we do have a couple of suppliers coming out. I think Toro's coming out for a ride on.
I'm so looking forward to seeing his house. I've heard a lot about it. It's this spectacular mansion.
He's worked hard for it, so it just shows you what's possible in Jim's.
I reckon my whole house would fit into his bathroom from the sound of things.
Well, he's worked hard and it just shows you what you can do.
He has. We're proud of it, actually. I take great pride in somebody who, when he came to us, was a cleaner.
Sure, he did too.
He
Yeah.
was actually cleaning. He was cleaning toilets. He was washing floors. He's now a multi-millionaire.
And what I like about what he did is, if you know Haydar's story, he had the safe option at the bank. Job for life, he would have had the bank, but he said, no, I need to do more than this, and he took the courageous decision to do something else.
Yeah, I did a podcast yesterday talking to young people what they should do, and I said service industry is fantastic. Everybody wants to go out and get an arts degree these days, but or a law degree, even worse. What's your options? What can you do with that? I mean,
Can't do nothing with it. You can do this with a law degree.
So services is a brilliant business. We've got people who are making many times what most university graduates are making, and the options are absolutely, it's unlimited.
Well, I was surprised by our Skip Bins franchisees. We've done some video of them, and when I asked them what they make net, I was quite astounded.
It's a very lucrative business, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Makes a lot of money.
The Jim's Mowing Bay of Plenty says he thinks the training is better in a controlled environment, which is his feedback from, he's a franchisor over in NZ. And then Brett Goodlett says, I'm happy to put my hand up for the Queensland State Training Trainer from Brett Goodlett. So Brett Goodlett's in termite and pest control.
Yeah, I think Alana Sadowski's handling it because she's done training in the past.
But you're welcome to go along. I think if franchisors want to go along, they can if they want.
Come along and be part of it for sure.
Absolutely. And then we have Shiley Copley's gone, are we allowed to work, Jim? So Shiley's, I think, in
South Australia.
In South Australia, yeah.
It depends on your division, Charlie.
I think they're mowing, I think.
Well, mowing, I'm told, is shut down for 6 days.
Absolutely.
Unless you can do NDIS and stuff. I understand, I was talking to guys this afternoon, I understand it's the same as the Victorian lockdown. What I don't know is whether the council gardeners can work too, which is the thing that used to infuriate people in Victoria.
Well, if it is, what would you do? What do you reckon? Another blitz?
I'm a blistering letter to the Premier and say, be consistent.
That's it.
If council workers can work in groups, then how can you justify lone operators working by themselves.
Well, if he's taking advice from the Premier, who knows? Well, maybe he does the
If he's
opposite.
listened to Daniel Andrews, and South Australia is really stuffed.
David McDonald says, maybe as a country we need to have a quarantine on Christmas Island. Everyone spends 2 weeks on Christmas Island before they can come here. Let the army deal with the quarantine and make a national thing, as David McDonald's suggestion.
Well, maybe. I'm not in charge of the government.
It's an interesting one. I think Christmas Island's a bit controversial still, isn't it? So I don't know how that will go. We could go down putting its own citizens on Christmas Island.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, if you enforce the quarantine properly, there shouldn't be any problems with it. Other states have run quarantine. We only in Victoria messed it up, and that's
True.
because you put untrained people on.
Well, absolutely proven by the WhatsApp groups.
You know, they're given 2 days in diversity and equal opportunity training, and 15 seconds to show how to put on a mask. I mean, that was about the training.
Yeah, it was done over WhatsApp. Probably not the best organising security contractors by WhatsApp groups. Eric Jurgen says, maybe, Joel, you could pick out one lucky person tonight to receive one of my autographed pictures of me making coffee. So Eric thinks he's a bit of a celebrity now with this video. He's been sharing it around. But you spoke well, Eric, and hopefully we can get more franchisees on in the division. Then Brittany Fluke's gone here. Love working for Jim's Mowing in Warrnambool. Vic, great being part of the team. Our lawns and gardens are looking fab. Customers are so proud. Now, Brittany, you're from a great part of Australia called Warrnambool, so I haven't set that person up whatsoever.
Warrnambool's good, actually. One of my sons did a law degree
James did it down there.
in Warrnambool, and he actually is working as a lawyer and doing very well. So he's one of the very few people who do a law degree actually get a job.
That's true. I'm not one of them. That's very true. Warrnambool produces some good people. There's a lot of good people from Warrnambool.
Yeah, he liked being there, actually. He said it was really good.
It is good town. Good beach.
And he was up at Shepparton for a while too, working as a lawyer. Got his first jobs up there too. So he likes the country towns.
No, I think he's back in Melbourne, isn't
I think
he?
he's in West Melbourne now, but that's just because of the law firm that he's with and the opportunities he's got.
Well, good to hear you're working for a franchisee down there, Brittany, or if you've got a franchise, let us know. I'll be corrected on that one. And then Dave McDonald says he'd hang the picture of Eric in his pool room. So we've got a few requests for Eric's signed picture coming through.
Hopefully not as a dartboard, thank you.
I didn't say it. Neil Simpson's gone.
But a Daniel Andrews you can use as a dartboard if you wish.
There you go. Neil Simpson's gone, hi Jim and Joel, hope you Aussies are doing okay. Hey Joel, whatever happened to the giveaway you were sending me from episode 76? I don't know what I was sending you, Neil, but I'll follow it up. I get a lot of giveaways and stuff, and sometimes some fit through the cracks. So if it's a book, just send me a message on the Jim's Group page and I'll sort it out for you, Neil. It won't be far away if you just message me. Rocky's gone here. Big thank you to Toro and Palanic for supplying the ride-on and battery platform mowers for the day. So they're the sponsors for the day, which is fantastic.
Yes. I'm looking forward to seeing I've seen a Toro before, but I'm looking forward to seeing this French machine.
Yeah, well, Paul King sent me a few comparison videos in which we're going to post that. We just haven't got time to do it, but he sent me the 3 machine comparisons with his franchisees to the petrol, and it's a world of difference. The comparison's crazy in the noise.
I love those battery powered mowers. I really do. And this one, if they can go for a whole day, that takes away the biggest problem with them.
Well, we're going to have Jim doing a test run, so we'll know
I'm
firsthand.
interested, but I've used it myself. I used these myself on my farm. I used a battery mower, and it's wonderful. I really love it.
Let's see how these Palinks go. Let's see if we can grab one of them for you. Why not?
Yeah, sure.
And then we got Dave McDonald says, Jim, I have a marketing degree and ended up getting a job in a fish and chip shop out of uni. Retail was great experience for sales. Absolutely. Everything's sales.
Business is a great opportunity. You know, when I was at school, I never ever talked about being in business, and yet it's actually a fantastic opportunity to do really, really well. Doesn't require education, doesn't require a lot of capital too. I mean, you can get into a business for $24 like I did. If you want to give yourself a bit of a head start, you paid $20,000-$30,000 for a Jim's franchise, or any other service franchise, of course. And it's easy to get into, and you can go as far as you wish.
Absolutely, and David's obviously killing it. I think, what do you say, 30k, 50k months, 1 month or something, revenue?
That's right.
Something ridiculous.
But you've got to have character. You can't hide. You can be part of an organisation, a big organisation, and because you've got a big mouth and you present well, you can actually get paid fairly well without actually doing anything. Doesn't work in gyms, so don't laugh. I'm not saying it does here, because I know enough about what goes on in this company. You can't get away with doing nothing. My sister tried it though. I shouldn't say that, should I?
No. We'll keep going on. But you know what Jim's saying there? You can good character. There's a good video of Jim when he talks about character. Yeah. You're a big believer in it, aren't you? About that being.
I am. In a large organisation, you can get away with personality, but in a business like ours or in your own business, you need character.
So the Melbourne majority says that they say it might go longer than 6. Let's hope not, Melbourne majority.
We certainly hope so for your sake. It was horrible in Victoria. It really was. It was financially, but also just psychologically ruinous. It was really difficult.
And then Shiley's gone in. No, she's in the cleaning division in Adelaide, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Maybe it's NDIS. I don't know. Different. So.
It's going to be hard. What can I say? If it's only 6 days, then you can last it. Just take yourself an enforced break. Not much. If you can't go anywhere, it's not much of a holiday, is it?
No, you can't do anything, can you?
No.
Only groceries, I think.
They can't even buy fast food, from what I've heard. They can't even go to a fast food joint.
Okay, they're definitely clamping down then.
It's worse than Victoria.
Absolutely. Then Dave McDonald says South Australia's current outbreak is from quarantine. That's some Dave McDonald saying.
We never heard that one before.
Yeah. Then Shiley's going, Jim's cleaning Ranella. Are we able to go clean homes if the client's happy for you to do so? Then we've got one from Glenn Carmichael.
You'd have to look at your regulations, and your franchisor would tell you. But my suspicion is you can't. If they won't let mowing guys do it, they're not going to let cleaners do it.
Yeah, definitely not, unfortunately. And Glenn Carmichael's gone, hi guys, finally got the BP fuel discount in NZ through the Gyms deal. 12 cents off per litre.
Yeah, you got an amazing discount. We get about 4 cents off per litre. This is great, actually. I love it. I just go in. I just use BP, and I go in, and it's so easy. I just take this little card, and I swipe it through the reader, and I put my code in. I just walk out. No receipt, no nothing, and it all comes through. And it's all tax
deductible. Do you?
And I get a discount too.
So the 12 cents. So we were saying we don't get 4 cents. They get 12 cents in NZ, which is great. And they goes, can't wait to see more deals getting offered through NZ. So Glenn, I've actually had help from Dog Wash with Sharon and the franchisor over there and another person. I think we've got 12 deals we're going to put on a document real soon and circulate. So it did get Glenn in the end. It was just very slow.
Do you have Bunnings in New Zealand? Do they have Bunnings?
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Do you have Bunnings in NZ? I think they do.
If you have Bunnings, we can work on getting you the
Power Pass.
Yeah, the Power Pass deal we've got, which is not only a tradies discount, but you get a whole lot of specific gyms discounts.
Yeah,
so.
Look, Google, go producer behind there, look up if there's Bunnings in NZ, can you? Warwick Petering's got a nice call on the arts degree, Jim, and funny clip at Joel on his law degree. So someone's liking your clip at me. That's from Warwick Petering. That's not nice. Eric Jurgen says,
hang on a bit. I've got an arts degree too, you know. Even worse than I've got a PhD in history of all things. So I can't point the finger at anybody.
Well, it's helping you with this, though. It's definitely made you a master diplomacy player.
I don't know how much. I don't know how much my arts degree helped with that.
True. Now, Eric Jim is very good at this diplomacy game. Eric Jim
says, it is when you're fighting against people who don't even know that armies can't walk into the sea.
Yeah, I'll get there. I'll get better. I'll get there in the end.
They forget to put their moves in too, which is really just pathetic. So
it is.
It's not difficult.
It is.
I'm not doing TBA. I'm playing in this game. I'm England, and I've just taken Norway and St. Petersburg, and I'm trying to get somebody to help me to attack Moscow.
Well, I'll help you, but you know what we have to do.
Well, you can't even get there.
Well, I can't, but I can be a little gnat on the side of Austria.
Sevastopol has been taken by the Austrians, and I think the Germans have got Warsaw. So somebody's got to try and get me into Moscow.
Well, it won't be Austria, I don't think, from knowing how that's going in the background. Eric Jenkins says, I had a very interesting conversation with a customer today. He asked me if I would be prepared to sell half of my business to him and made the offer that we would work alternating days. After I pointed out that he would be better off purchasing the franchise, he stated that he already has an income. I told him that Jim guaranteed $1,100 a week income, and he could not believe it. He's very keen, and he's going to have further discussions with me this week.
$1,100 a week, Chip, you make a lot more than that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I was going to say, he's want to buy half of his business, so the mobile cafe seems to get a bit of interest at the moment, which is good.
Well, it's not a bad idea. I do know that there's a husband and wife have a dog wash franchise, and they work like 3 and 4 days. So it's actually working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And they alternate. So it's a very, very good deal from their point of view, because it's the same fees, basically single fee, single trailer, but used all the time.
I've had that question a bit with fencing sometimes. You have people going, can we do partnerships and pay the one franchise fee but take all the...
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can. We want them to, for fencing especially.
There's so much work.
Absolutely. Then we have one here from Jim's Mowing Bay Playing Hawks. Glenn, did you see the McFall Fuel email about their fuel offer? Better than the BP offer. So apparently it's a better deal than the 12 cents a litre, which is from the over in the...
I can't comprehend how you can discount that much. There isn't that much fat in it. You must pay an enormous amount for petrol in New Zealand. I reckon you must have bigger margins. How could they afford to give you 12 cents?
It's a lot of money. A lot of money per litre.
12 cents off per litre off the cost of pet fuel here will be below their purchase price. I'm absolutely certain of it, because they don't make a lot of money out of it. No. They make half their money out of the chocks and stuff sitting behind the counter.
That's it. That's what they do. Matthew Dwight's gone shattered. Matthew Dwight from Mowing's gone shattered. Had to suspend my franchise yesterday again. Having a shoulder replacement Friday and can't delay it any longer. It was cancelled once before the lockdown and again just before the second lockdown.
No, that's no good, man.
Yeah. Really wanted to get my 55-star ratings. I'll have to be happy with 42. Off the tools for 8 weeks. Peak season. Shattered to say the least. That is horrible because obviously the surgery's all backed up with the lockdown.
Yeah, that's no good. Sorry about that, Matt. I hope your surgery goes well.
Let's hope it goes on 8 weeks and you'll be back in no time and flying, Matt. I'm sure there'll be a lot of work for you when you come out. David Don says, Jim, I've brought 600 watts of solar for my van and a 200 battery. Going to charge tools, laptops and lights off the solar. Last month was the second biggest month. This month may be the third biggest. Lots of CCTV on farms, which is interesting. Wireless to sheds with artificial intelligence alarms, notifying customers when vehicles and people are on the farm. That's a good new service I had no idea about.
Well, I'm about to put a whole solar system on my farm.
Okay.
And batteries, and also has some hydropower too.
Hydropower is interesting.
I reckon I would never expect to spend another cent on electricity on my farm.
Do you have CCTV on your farm? Or it doesn't worry about you too much?
No.
So that's a pretty good one. So he's bought it for his van though. So
I haven't got a lot of valuable stuff on my farm really. We've got this crapped out old gator which is really causing problems all the time. It's on the chocks right now.
Okay, but he said I think you'd be the first antennas franchisee with solar on your van. So that's an interesting one.
It's a good one.
Can you send us a picture? I know we've got to come up and film you, David. So.
I really wish we could go entirely electric. Certainly for divisions where it's possible.
Well,
if we had battery powered everything, I don't know how to go with something like a fencing gun or whatever, but
fencing gun, why not? I don't know. How would you do it?
How does fencing gun work? Do they have
air pressure from an air compressor?
And what's the connection?
Just the hose on the air compressor. That's okay. Yeah, I'm pretty certain. I could be completely wrong. Yes, and fences or people, please put that in there with the nail guns. Yeah, how that works. Definitely works on a pressure air hose. But that's good to hear, David. Let us. We can definitely do some. The farms, the wireless stuff with farms is really good to hear as well. And he's up there in Horsham supporting that. I had no idea about that. Then David's gone, BP is 10 cents a litre dearer up here than my local servo. Then Rocky says, update on NZ. Bunnings NZ signed today. So apparently Bunnings NZ has signed today.
Oh, really? Great. That is a very good deal, actually. I mean, I love Bunnings, actually. It's one of my favourite
Do you go there a bit?
Yeah. I do. Because I'm always buying stuff for the farm.
What do you normally get from there?
Oh, tools, seeds, all kinds of things.
Yeah. Do you use the Power Pass as well, the discount?
I haven't been for a while, actually.
You should get your Power Pass card.
I should get a Power Pass.
All right, we'll write that down. I'm sure they'll be happy to give Jim a Power Pass card. All right, and then Melbourne Jody says, Jim ain't with it tonight. Is he crook? No, Jim's just probably tired from the farm. Someone says you're not with it tonight. I think you just relaxed from the farm.
I think I'm relaxed. He probably used to see me all
fired up
over Daniel Andrews for a few weeks. No, I'm fine. I'm just, I'm
How long did you spend on the farm today?
I'm chilling it. Well, a few hours, not a lot because all the emails pouring in all the time. And most of the time I'm there actually answering emails and phone calls and stuff. But I did 2 or 3 hours.
That's probably a good point, Melbourne Majority, though. Jim, you won't see Jim on going with his Daniel Andrews stuff, obviously, because it's not applicable anymore. So, obviously, a bit more relaxed. So if you've got a question, they ask about anything, we'll answer it for you. And Neil Simpson says, yes, we have Bunnings, which is great. Dave McDonald says, but the SA's Chief Public Health Officer, Nicholas Sparrow, has said that a Medi hotel where one of the infected people worked is the likely source. Medi hotels are hotels used by incoming travellers and local residents who can't safely quarantine at home.
Yeah. Jeepers, it's horrible, this thing.
That's another one. And Steve Walkham says, Jim, I'd like to chat to you about facilitating training here in Canberra. I will email you directly for more info.
Yeah, sure, do that. We haven't. I suppose if you can't travel to Sydney safely, then Canberra's a possibility.
Yeah, well, Canberra should be. Well, it should be ACT. Should be.
It could be a model for us for the future. I know when we did it here, even though we couldn't all go into the same room, we had separate rooms, and people were sitting together and they were talking, and then there were facilitators. And I used to go wandering around different rooms to talk to everybody, and they also exchange back and forth. So it worked surprisingly well, actually. A lot better than the online stuff.
Well, I think the good thing about it is that when the live stream's going, that the person in there can tell them applicable, like answer those questions in real time. It's a bit hard to do it over YouTube and things like that and stop the presenters, so it's really hard. Surprisingly,
the kind of things that do work very well. We're having a lot of franchisor meetings. Our advisory meeting yesterday, advisory meeting went for
world record. These are world record advisories.
3/4 of an hour. Yeah. It was amazing, and so it works actually well. And they all voted to say, let's do this in future. It's a lot better. There's no travelling, and it works very well.
Absolutely. Then Steve, and just an update as well on the Ask Jim barbecue. That will happen. The 100th episode will happen during training week.
Provided the weather's okay.
Provided the weather's okay. But
it'll be the middle of summer, so it should be.
January 18, I think it's the date, and it's when training week is on. So the good thing about it will be is that we'll have new franchisees here, plus experienced franchisees coming to share in the barbecue. So that'd be good for them to meet.
And I don't know how many I can cook for it.
You're doing the numbers in your head.
Wood-fired barbecue might be a bit of a challenge. I'm going to try to feed 60 people.
Well, we'll have to work. We'll think about the logistics, but it is going to happen. We'll have to work it out. And Dominic Bushnell says, shared the video prize pack, please. Absolutely. So if you are, just hit share at the top there, guys. You can get a Jim's Mowing little prize pack. This is all rare merch in there as well. So it's really easy to do. And then Dave McDonald says he can hook you up with some CCTV if you ever need it on your farm.
All right, thanks, Dave. No, it's a fair way from Horsham, but...
It's a very fair way from Horsham, yeah. We can make a video out of it, though. Dave McDonald says nail guns are battery now. So apparently they're battery now, nail guns.
All right, okay.
So fencing could do it. And Robert's tuning in. So make sure you leave questions and comments in there, guys. Rocky's gone here. Paellas have a cordless fencing nailer. Will be at National in coming weeks for display. So there's a brand called Paella who do have cordless fencing nail guns. And it's going to be on display at National Office soon.
That'd be good.
Which is good. And then Dave McDonald says, Jim, do you get a sausage with the onion at Bunnings?
I don't like red meat.
Don't like red meat? No.
No, I don't. I'm mostly vegetarian. Little bit occasional of chicken or fish, but I'm not a sausage fan. Sorry, not a dinkum Aussie in that sense. I'm afraid. Snag and
Bunnings snag is you can't get more Australian than that.
Yeah.
And we got one here that Malcolm Bradley says, Glenn Carmichael, I signed up, first bill only got 8 cents. So there's a few people talking about the discount on the NZBP offer. And then here we go, Edward Bushwado's gone here. What a nice name. Have you ever thought of creating your own range of machinery? I'd buy a Jim's mower.
I think the same thing applies. I've learned a very hard lesson. Stick to what you know. I'm not very good at building trailers myself. I'm not very good at running a psychology institute. Not very good at trade exchange. Not very good at running a holiday resort. I'd rather stick to the stuff that we know and that we're reasonably good at rather than getting involved in other things. So manufacturing is a whole different game, I can tell you.
Absolutely. It would go hand in hand. But what about a licensing deal? Someone said, all right, look, Honda or whatever want to do like a brand partnership. I don't know. Sometimes they do brand collaborations.
I'd love to sponsor something for the really good battery powered mower, I must say.
Well, I'll tell you what, that Palanic, for brand recognition, you'd think it'd be something they could look into, wouldn't you? I know Paul King had a chat to the GM, but I think if you're a brand trying to get into Australia, you want to increase your brand recognition.
If it was our recommended mower that our people are supposed to be using, we could even do a deal where we could make it a standard thing that every mowing mower has it. I mean, they really are good.
They are. Well, the feedback's been great. So if anyone's using them, give us some more feedback in there. But they've got 3 items. That's the problem. We need a few more items, I think. Yeah. So you got the mower, you've got the hedger, and you got the I think the blower.
No brush cutter?
No, sorry, they do have a brush cutter. Yes, they do. I think they do have a brush cutter.
Yeah, your blower, your brush cutter, and your mower is the 3 main things.
But we're going to post those sound comparisons. So Paul did give us some of those because they're quite impressive. I think it's no more noise complaints at 6 a.m. You could do jobs at 6 a.m. But that's a good question there, Ed. And then Eric Jenkins says a big shout out to Wade. He has been doing it tough, and I would like him to know that we wish him all the support and wish him well. So I hope Eric Wade's okay. Wish you well. Then Rocky's gone here again. Passload has a cordless fencing nailer. Yep, so that's the brand Passload, not the other one. Then Robert's gone here. Robert and Joanne D'Agostino has gone, hi guys, I'm Jim's Mowing Jordan Springs. I've gone full battery with Ego in my business, solar panel on my roof of my van with a 300 watt inverter and 110 amp battery.
Yeah, good stuff.
That's good, Robert. Let us know how you're finding the Ego stuff as well. So I know there's Ego, there's Palanic, there's all these sort of things, but that's great. He's got a Jim's Mowing van with that on.
If you can recharge the batteries as you go, then it gets away from the issues. That's the thing. You don't want to be carrying 10 batteries with you. That's just a bore. But if you can recharge them or have something that lasts the whole day, that would be ideal.
Yeah, which is why the Palanic stuff's been very attractive because it lasts the whole day on one charge. And then Eric Ashby has a mowing barbecue trailer. He does have a mowing barbecue trailer. That would work.
Yeah.
That would work if we could get a mowing barbecue trailer, yeah?
Yeah, the only problem with that is it's still gas.
True.
A really good barbecue is wood-fired, Australian wood, with a grill. And the smoke and the flavour comes into the food. It's a very, very different taste. And we know that because we've had people come across to my place and have a barbecue, and people who've tried the gas stuff, and people who've tried the wood stuff. So there's no comparison.
You know, you can buy. I'm pretty certain if there's any grill masters put it on there, but you can actually buy. So if you've got a typical normal gas barbecue, you can actually put pieces of wood on it, which are flavoured.
Yeah, like charcoal. I use charcoal too.
Yeah, charcoal or something like that. Yeah, we could do. I'm just trying to think logistically how to cook for.
But the wood actually affects the flavour. I know in America they have these mesquite wood because it's a totally different taste. I never could standard barbecues with that grill, which always seems to be very insanitary and heated by gas. I know it's easy, but I just don't. It's just not proper barbecuing.
How do you think you're going to go cooking for 40 people, maybe 60, 50?
I don't know. I might have to try and put some extra because the actual barbecue itself is about like that, and it's got a grill across the top. So maybe I know we've got some spare bricks at our place. We perhaps build a whole 3 of them. I need some help with putting the fires on and so forth. But you could cook for a lot of people. Once you get a good fire going, you've got to actually build it up. Put a lot of wood on, and our place is good because you've got bark. It's a very good tinder, bit of paper and then some bark, and then you put the wood on, and you get a really good blaze going, and then let it die down to the hot coals, and then you cook on top of that, and it cooks really, really quite fast and really nice.
Well, we'll have to think about logistically how we do it, but it could be quite cool. I'm looking forward to it. So make sure you come down on the 18th if you are thinking about it. Dave McDonald says, I have a Makita battery stapler. I use it a bit for woodworking at home, so there's battery gear. Katie Reading said she's just donated to your Beyond Blue link, which is fantastic. Thank you very much, Katie. That's very nice of you. And then we have one from David McDonald says, Joel, on the day of the road, with Horsham, might have to wait. December, January and February was way too hot up here. Yeah, it's going to be 38 degrees tomorrow. So I'm going to arrow out, which will be 28, which is absolutely fantastic. Well, so let's go into another question that came through. This is the longest Ask Jim question I've ever had in history. And then
we're not going to read it, though.
We're not going to read the whole thing.
Basically, I think his point is that COVID is some sort of a conspiracy and it's not that dangerous and so forth. And, there is a point to it in it's not that much worse than seasonal flu, but at the same time, there's a few million people died of it, so I'm not sure I take it quite that lightly.
Well, are you concerned about the whole conspiracy, especially with the vaccinations and things? Are you concerned about that moving forward? Because there's obviously 95% ones affected. I
am no anti-vaxxer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'd make it compulsory, but I definitely will take the vaccine, and so will my family.
Well, they don't call it anti-vax now. They've tried to reposition themselves to be called pro-choice.
Well, choice is okay. I just think you can make a stupid choice or you can make a good choice.
The annoying thing is, though, vaccinations only work if you have most majority of the people take them. This is what people... You can't have 50% say no and 50% say yes.
Well, actually, it makes it better if they do.
Right.
Because those of us who take it are presumably not going to get it. Though it's only like 90% effective, so... I think more than 50% will take it, though. I really do. I think people have suffered enough from this. I reckon most people will.
I think it'll be a condition to get out of the country. If you want to go travel, you have to do it. You have to do it already with other shots and stuff like that.
I wouldn't want somebody coming into Australia who hadn't been vaccinated, that's for sure.
Oh, that won't be happening. Absolutely won't be happening.
And you can't get back in unless you've been vaccinated. Yes, if you want to leave the country, if you want to come in, you have to be vaccinated.
Absolutely. Okay, and then we've got one here from Dave McDonald. He says, Jim, I can bring some Webbers. So Dave McDonald's offering to bring barbecues down from Horsham if you need them.
Yeah, but the problem with that, David, is it's the wood. And that's the hard part to do. It's a lot easier just to turn on a gas and light the flame, but it's the flavour of the wood. You've got to taste a genuine wood-fired barbecue to understand what the difference is. One of the things I like best is corn. Corn on the cob, cooked on a barbecue, is just so good.
So how are we going to do this? I'm just thinking about logistically live, but I'm going to say, so we do the Ask Jim first and then we go to your house afterwards, or would we do it before? I don't know how would you go having 40, 50 people in your yard there? I don't know how would that go.
I don't know. I think we start beforehand because it gets dark.
Well, I think it'd be quite unique, make a nice.
No, I think what happened is that we'd start a barbecue at 6. People come along. At 7 o'clock, we get on Ask Jim, so other people just have to take over. And so hopefully there's people there who've got a clue how to do it. It's not that difficult, really. You just got to keep the fire to the right level and turn the stuff over and don't try not to burn everything.
But if you are thinking about coming on board with Jim's, why not come to the training on that 18th? That's a very unique experience you're going to get.
Well, it would be.
Absolutely.
Genuine in my front yard. And you actually see how a millionaire lives, which apart from the fact that there's a very big big front yard is not that different to what you used to.
I've heard you've had a penthouse on the Gold Coast from a few people online, just to make you a bit richer in your ivory tower. Penthouse on the Gold Coast sometimes is thought you get thrown around.
Yes, it's like the solid gold taps in my bathroom, or this incredibly posh car I drive, which is probably worth $5,000 these days. So.
That's very, very true. The next Jurgen says, Jim, in the old days, mowing was done with a push mower and anything else wasn't real. Sometimes you just need to move ahead with the times after all. We don't use oil lamps in homes for lighting either.
No. Well, I always used the push mower. I was never keen on self-propelled because it never moved fast enough.
Mm.
I want a mower to be able to... No self-propelled mower could move as fast as I could.
Not even the Honda. The Honda's pretty quick. The new Honda self-propelled.
You mean, is that a...
The Honda self-propelled, the one that's in the training studio. I know a lot of our franchisees use that. I saw Des on it. Jeez, he was flying.
To me, the mower is more governed by how thick the grass is and how you can cut it and this kind of thing. I don't know. I've tried self-propelled. I wasn't keen on them. The only thing I had a Deutsche, a big huge slasher, which is self-propelled, and that was really great. That was the one I charged $90.
You made a lot of money. I was going to say.
Clear somebody's block in half an hour, and it's really fun. If you've got a big pile of blackberries like over your head, and you know, like the size of this whole room. And you just get this thing, and you just charge into it and charge out again. It's really fun. I love slashing blackberries. One of my favourite jobs.
Slashing blackberries, okay. Let us know if you're mowing fans
really
watching.
Good.
If that's
you do tend to get knocked around a bit, but it's just like fighting a battle against some enemy. Well, then you got to respect the blackberry, and they're tough.
There we go. They're not like me. They're not tough in this game. I can tell you that right now. Then we have one there. But
you're not a blackberry diplomacy player, are you?
Definitely not. I would be. I don't know what I'd be. I'd be just your average weed you can pull out real quickly.
I didn't do too bad, actually. I won the game as Austria the other day, which was surprising.
Well, you did do a few alliances and sneaky things.
Yeah, well, it helped by the fact that Russia fell apart. I don't know who that was.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I'll go there.
Italy was a pathetic player too. They just got on moving into Bohemia for no obvious reason, so I just smashed them. And then I had to go at France, collapsing from the south. So, you know, it was a lot of fun.
I don't mind you taking out France. Everyone has a go at France. Then we have Edward's gone here. What's Jim's thought on the Great Reset? Does he know anything about it? Have you heard about this Great Reset trend movement online? The Great Capitalism Reset.
Nope.
I don't know, Ben, is there a few world ministers saying it's a good time to reset the system, or what are they saying?
Reset in what sense?
Googled it. There's a few articles on it.
So basically, there's a lot of people pushing this thing online, which is basically saying the first would steer the market towards fairer outcomes, to saying government should improve coordination. So they're basically saying this reset, should lead to people redistributing wealth, because obviously with us, we've had the benefit. They're trying to keep that benefit like that all the time now for the job seeker and things like that.
It kind of depends on how you do it. What people mostly mean by this stuff is let's give all the power to government bureaucrats and push everybody around, which I don't like very much, because it stifles freedom and it stifles wealth. What I would like to see is more distribution from people who've got more than enough to those who haven't. Like, as for example, and I know I've talked about this before, but how do you cure global warming? Well, the current system is that you heavily subsidise solar panels, which pushes up the price of electricity for those who've got lowest income and subsidise those who've got a lot. But a much more effective system and a fairer system would be to say to have a very heavy carbon tax and distribute it back equally to the whole population, which is much better at reducing carbon emissions, but it's also redistributing income to people with less. And the other thing I'd like to see too is some very heavy property taxes on anything beyond like $150,000 per person. So in other words, most people probably wouldn't pay it, or half the population wouldn't pay it, but somebody living in a $5 million mansion, why shouldn't they pay a pretty heavy tax on it? They don't have to live in an expensive house.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can't have... I can't hear that.
Yeah, you'd be taxed heavily. But then so would I, because we own a lot of property. Mostly development properties and things like that. So yeah, you should. People with more money should pay more, but it should be distributed in a way that doesn't stifle freedom and enterprise.
There's too many creative accountants out there, though. The big four accounting firms help these rich people. KPMG's a disgrace, to be honest, as an organisation.
The tax system is so complicated. New Zealand actually has a better tax system.
The book is.
It's much simpler.
I did tax law. It was ridiculous.
You should probably take down the marginal tax rate a bit, but then get rid of all the capital gains and all the exemptions and all the garbage and all the exceptions and the lurks and the perks and stuff, and have a very simple system that's very, very hard to game.
The tax legislation is like this big, the book. I remember doing it at uni.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's horrifying. And we spend hundreds of billions of dollars on tax experts trying to advise rich people how to avoid tax.
Yeah, I remember going to the High Court bunch and watching Alan Myers, is a well-known QC, he's on 20 grand a day, argue $1 billion or something like that write-off for BHP at the High Court.
It's pathetic, actually. The people with the most money pay the least tax, which is why, again, a property tax is a great idea, because you can't avoid them.
I agree. Absolutely. I think we should do it.
And it should be on unimproved value too. So somebody who lives in a high-rise apartment where there's,
no capital growth.
Yeah.
Probably no capital growth.
So they their own. It's the land itself that's taxed, not the value of the building.
For me, the worst one's stamp duty. Why as a first time buyer should you pay stamp duty? Because it's a stupid archaic thing from back in the day where you actually...
No, you're right too. Which actually stops people from moving.
Yeah, it does.
There's a lot of things too. And the other nice thing about property taxes is that it actually distributes the property to the people who can use it the best. So if you've got somebody sitting on this vast acreage in a good area, they get hit with a really heavy property tax. And so they say, okay, let's subdivide it down so ordinary people can afford to buy houses. It's stupid, actually. Just around here, you've got strawberry farms.
Huge properties.
Like 10-acre properties, strawberry farms, all kinds of stuff. All 5 minutes from shops and the station and stuff. It's ludicrous. People can't afford to buy a house. So relaxing zoning regulations and hefty property taxes would actually bring the property prices down to the extent ordinary people can afford to buy a house.
Absolutely. And we've got one is make sure you keep sharing the feed, guys, as well. So we've got the Jim's Mowing thing, just a reminder in there. We've got a few people sharing the feed, which is great. Now we've got one from Daryl. That's a great comment there, Jim, and great question from Eduardo. That was a good one. Daryl, good one's gone. What's the biggest mistake you've made in business and how did you learn from it? Good question, Daryl.
Oh, Daryl, so many. The biggest mistake I've made, the one I make again and again and again, is to going into things I don't really know or understand very well. Honestly, and I've used the example of that: tourist development, factory, psychology research institute, trade exchange, those kinds of things. I just don't understand them very well. I've done the best when I've stuck to what I know, and basically that's lawn mowing in the beginning, and then the franchising of services. And that's we tend to do well in those areas. I should never have got involved in so many other different things.
But you're definitely doing well this year. Don't worry about that. With the 4,100 franchisees, I think we are now, isn't it?
4,113, I think.
I remember the other day when you said we've got to change your banner. I only had that 4,000 franchisee banner probably 4 weeks ago. So,
what's it? About 2 weeks ago that we hit 4,000.
Yeah, so I've interviewed the franchisee. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. In fact, 2 weeks away tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've interviewed Daniel Welsh. She's the 4,000 franchisee.
It's been a great year for us.
Absolutely.
with a little exception of that lockdown in Victoria. I mean, it's been very good for gyms, and our work is just streaming in.
If you are researching the brand and watching this at your moment, 200,000 unserviced leads we're going to be on track for by the end of the year.
Which is
not good.
Bad in itself, actually. It's our number one customer service problem now. We just got so much work, and we've actually passed a resolution at the advisory committee that says if you've got more than 12 months, it has to go to referendum, of course, because it's a change to the manual. But if you've got more than 12 months worth of advertising stored up, you have to give it back to the franchisees, because some franchisors just can't spend. The people are too busy.
Absolutely. They'd just be wasting their money, wouldn't it?
Well, it just sits in their account and just grows and grows. But it's the franchisees' money, so they should get it back again. We're giving back huge amounts of money to some of our fencing franchisees.
Absolutely. Then Dave McDonald says, Web has a charcoal and we use wood to add the flavour. So that's from Dave McDonald.
Well, you could certainly bring it, David. You're welcome to come and eat as well too. Maybe give yours a try against my system. Okay,
give it a crack. David, if you're keen to do that effort, we appreciate it. Then David Owen says, what's a TV show you can watch and repeat, Jim?
There's been a few actually. I like historical stuff. I've just watched Wolf Hall, which is about Thomas Cromwell, Henry VII's minister. The White Queen, the White Princess, which is about the pre-Tudor monarchs, including the wife of Henry VII. I'm watching Victoria again, which is a great series too. Actually, I've been watching Selfridge, which is really interesting.
What's Selfridge?
Selfridge is he founded this really posh department store in London in the early 20th century.
Okay.
And it just shows, and he's a very flamboyant entrepreneur, but it also shows that as he gets older, he gets really, really bad. He gambles a lot, and he wastes money on these young women. He gets into terrible problems and loses a lot of money. And I don't understand he gets away with it. He seems to pluck money out of the business, and his shareholders sort of seen as the bad guys. But we're sitting there thinking, how can the shareholders let him get away with this kind of garbage?
There you go. So there's a couple of recommendations.
So Selfridge is very interesting about business, including what not to do.
Then we have one from Robert, says, I love the Ego battery equipment. Been using it since I started it 2.5 years ago. Charge as I am driving to the next job.
Yes.
10 amps and 7.5 amps battery for the mower and brush cutter, and 5 amps and 2.5 battery for my blower, hedger, and everything else. So good on you, Robert. Robert does the system.
It is. It is great. It is great stuff.
What do customers say about it, Robert? Have you got any jobs? I've heard someone say they picked up 9 jobs from using just the Polanet gear with conversations. So let us know if you've picked up any extra jobs on the basis of using it.
Look, apart from the fact that I totally believe in this stuff, it's great PR. One of the things I really like to do, actually, is to talk about my farm.
Yep.
What we're doing. There's 120 acres of what was basically degraded cow pasture, and we're going to turn it into a really fertile food forest.
We can do that.
We're going to lock away tons and tons of carbon into the trees, into the soil. Already, we're really improving the soil and producing, more microclimate with more moisture and so forth, which will preserve against bushfires. It's a really fantastic, in this land, you can grow 2 tons of beef per acre, or 200 tons of good quality food from your tree forest, from your food forest. It's a really great thing, and you restore the environment and control fires. There's so many benefits to this kind of thing. People should be doing it on a big scale.
Well, when you're ready, we'll do it. I know we had a franchisee a couple of weeks ago mentioned about this permaculture sort of stuff, didn't he? So
well, this is permaculture on scale. It's using companion plantings too. So it's not just one kind of plant. It's plants put together. Some plants are windbreaks and others attract the bees. And also planting a lot of flowering plants, because we've got a lot of beehives. So you plant plants that will feed the bees at different times of the year.
So it's very strategic in what you're doing.
Yeah. This guy, Mark, who works with me, he's fantastic at this. Basically, he tells me what to do. He's the boss. How
you go having that?
I go do things like I'm digging around some of the trees, and he says, no, you're doing it wrong. You've got to make a well so the water goes in. So I had to go back and change them all. But
oh, well, good to hear that you get some
I was planting my corn patch today too, which is great fun, because the soil is beautiful.
Let us know when you finish and we can do it. It'd be a good little story, I reckon, to share.
It'll never be finished, actually. It's we just keep on developing it and growing it. In 5 years' time, the trees will start to grow, and you'll start to get a canopy building. And then in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, it's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Well, we could document it, I think. We could come out there and do it and share with everyone what you're doing. I think it'd be great. The next Jurgen says it won't be dark until 9 p.m. at that time. So he's saying January 18, Jason reckon it'll be dark from 9 p.m.
Well, that's okay. But still, if we started at 6, and, if you're going to feed 60 people or whatever, it's going to take a while.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll try and work it out. David McDonald says, I'll be on there on the 18th, which is fantastic. And Neil Simpson says, still have a better range of commercial mowing stash trimming products. So he reckons still, STIHL, which I know a lot of our franchisees use as well.
They do.
And that's from Neil. And Gilles Howard, just trying to question in there. David McDonald says, the Great Reset ends up in a dictatorship like Russia, is what David is saying about the Great Reset.
It does sound a little bit socialistic to me.
A lot of the Socialist Party Victoria putting signs around to keep the job seeker and the current unemployment benefits the way they are.
Yeah, I don't trust people like that, I'm afraid. I think it's Maoism, it's Stalin, this kind of thing. I mean, you might not kill tens of millions of people, but at the same time, the idea that the government knows better than private enterprise is just a really, really bad idea. I mean, Mao thought he was industrializing China. He thought all the stuff, the forced collectivization and everything else that he was doing, and the trying to create masses and masses of metal, and all the things that he was doing were industrializing China. In actual fact, what he was doing was holding China back. And when the dead hand of the communist system was China just boomed, because the Chinese are very hard-working, innovative people. They just need to be released and allowed to do their bit.
Absolutely. Then Gilles, is it Giles or Gilles? Let me know. And he goes, hey Jim, I'm doing a project on you for inspirational people. So maybe it's a university or school student. It's nice. Have a school project done on you.
Appreciate that. Have a look at jims.net, Meet Jim. You can download a copy of my book and you've got a lot more information about me than you probably ever wanted to know.
That's true, yeah. You can download it for free too, so make sure you do that. David Nolan says, I spoke to a Z New South Wales last week about tax and jobs and winning quotes. I told him to get a different accountant because he wasn't a company. Some work he couldn't do because he wasn't a company. That's interesting.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, I didn't know. Why would someone only want to use a company to do...
You need an ABN, of course, if it's in Australia.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of a company knocking back someone because of their structure.
No.
It shouldn't matter if you're a sole trader or a company. Let us know a bit more detail about that one. Then Dwayne's gone in now that SA is facing its first full lockdown for COVID. What are your thoughts and advice having been through it in Victoria from Dwayne?
Just try and keep healthy. I think the mental health issues are the worst ones to me. I know people have been suffering financially, but the strain I've seen on so many families in Victoria, it was really awful. If it's 6 days, you can cope with it, but it was really very difficult. One of my daughters is 17 years old, and she just found it so hard to be cut off from her friends and so forth, because it's a very active social life.
Yeah, absolutely. Then Gills has gone here. Here's a couple of questions for you for the assignment, so we'll give it to you. And he says, what drove you into success? What drove you into success is his question.
I did a PhD back in the 1970s, early 80s, trying to understand how civilizations work. And I came up with a conclusion that you could make drastic changes to better humanity, to help people to resist things like drug addiction, alcoholism, and certain forms of mental illness with the right kind of scientific research. And I couldn't become an academic. My ideas were too wild. So what I had to do, and I never thought of it before that minute, I had to become rich to be able to afford to drive my research. And honestly, that's my major goal. And I'm in that sense, I'm very, very ambitious. I don't live extravagantly. Any money that I have goes into this research project. And look, I'm very optimistic. We've got some great research here. We've got some great programs going. Even as early by the end of next year, we might even have something we can patent.
Really? Okay, there we go. That's a good development.
Yes, we're looking at a whole lot of different ways of achieving it. And we're talking about fundamental ways to help people treatments that help people to cope better. It would also be helpful against things like obesity, for example. It help people to have self-control.
To me? You're going to give it to me? I'll test it up. I'll give it a crack. See how we go. Then he's going with another question. So that's a great bit of advice there for your assignment. He says, what advice would you give to a teenage boy like myself?
Get a job. No, seriously, get a job. It's not a pattern these days. Go and get a job doing something. Go and work for somebody else. Start your own small business, cleaning, gardening, whatever you want to do, and learn about work. I really strongly recommend experience in the workplace. I think people spend too much time doing all these courses and things like this, and I reckon I'm a great believer in work, in actually doing something and learning how to relate to clients and doing a better job. That's what taught me so much more than anything. So go out and do that, and just look around you. The best opportunities you'll ever see are probably just right in front of you. I cannot tell how many people have said to me, I used to mow lawns when I was a kid, and I never thought it could come to anything. It just does. It just does. And you look at it, and people start off and they deliver pizza because it's a student job, and they end up owning a pizza chain. I mean, it happens all the time. Just look around you. The world is full of opportunities. I know people have a feeling that it's closing in, that the class structure is closing in, and it is difficult in a way. That social mobility is dropping. But business, the service industry in particular, you can get into for very little money. You can start part-time by yourself as a teenager, and there was absolutely no limit. You could be making millions of dollars. You could be funding the things that really matter in your life. You could be funding charities and organizations. You could do incredible things and have an incredible life. And I love my life. I've got a really wonderful, interesting job, and it pays me quite well. And nobody's going to sack me. I'm 68. I'm years behind retirement age, and nobody's going to say, Jim, all right, here's your gold watch, go. Because I 100% own the company, and that's a good situation to be in. So there are wonderful opportunities out there. And the interesting thing is, too, because of the IT revolution, it's actually changing everything. It's not like the old world where there was always changes taking place, but the speed of the change is extraordinary. So there's always areas, there's places that you can grow into. Some of the stuff we're doing with software now for Jim's jobs will be absolutely revolutionary, I reckon, in terms of helping people to run better businesses, better customer service, more efficient, better use of time, all kinds of things.
Good question, Giles, and good luck with your assignment. And hopefully you can get a job. That's a great
And
clip.
teenagers are the time to start. I started gardening when I was 8 years old, but start as a teenager. Start early and learn. And if you tend to go to university, and I don't say you have to, I think there's other options. If it's not suited to you, get a part-time job there, and learn about the world of work.
Great advice. And then we've got Dave McDonald says, how many service leads per year? We never have that question. How many service leads do you reckon we do a year? Good question.
I don't know. I think we get about 700,000 leads a year, including unserviced jobs.
Now, Mike in training, he quotes 5 million jobs done. So obviously there's repeat clients and things like that.
Yeah, because most of our jobs are repeats.
Yeah.
You know, you don't, when a person starts off mowing or cleaning or dog wash, they'll take quite a few leads, but if they're any good, which most of them are, of course, they quickly build a regular client base.
Absolutely.
And even one fencing, for example, I mean, you think it's a one-off job, but what happens is they do one fence and they do 3 fences, and then you've got 3 neighbours with one good fence and 2 crummy fences. So
it's a good referral one fencing.
You give a person one job and they just go down the street, which one of the reasons we've got so many unserviced leads in fencing is because they don't take many jobs.
I'll tell you how good fencing is. We had a guy called Polazor. He watched around 8 hour gyms before signing up, and he said, which one should I... We always pushed him towards fencing, so we did it.
Because of the level of unserviced leads.
First 2 weeks, he took 60 leads.
Yeah.
Which you shouldn't do, especially in a mowing even. You can.
That's one of the problems. People can take too many leads and then they start getting problems with not following them up. Because it's kind of like people have an idea in business that you're going to be, desperate for work and so forth, but it's not normally the case. Not these days.
Absolutely. And Brad Shee's gone here. Do we have any field deals for gyms? From Brad Shee.
Field deals.
We have fuel deals for gym. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got the BP deal, isn't it?
The BP deal is the best one.
Yeah. Preferred suppliers.
We had a look at a few. They're complaining it to us, but there's not enough people taking it up. And I say, well, it's going to take a while to build.
Yeah, correct. I think they think everyone's just going to do it, so they've got to be a good offer.
A lot of people think that if I make a decision, every franchisee is going to do what I say. Believe me, it's nothing like that in gyms. People make their own decisions. There's certain fundamentals of customer service and service to franchisees, and use of uniforms and this kind of thing too. But I tell you what, in terms of the way businesses are run, people do what they want.
So I think you're dog wash, Brad, but there is a BP one. So Jim pulled out the card before, so you can get that. Give us an email or let us know and we can give you the deal. You have 5 minutes left, guys, so make sure you share that stream to go on the mowing one. We're going to pick it from the people who share it, so good chance to win. Steve Townsend goes to you, Jim. What was the first thing you did when lockdown ended? Never had that question before.
Nothing very different, actually. To me, the big relief was just seeing my franchisees able to work. I just felt like I've been walking around with this giant weight on my. I couldn't forget about it even for 1 hour ever.
Yeah.
Knowing that so many of my franchisees weren't working and know how much they were suffering, that was my biggest feeling of relief. I frankly haven't even been to a restaurant since then.
Right.
I've been to my farm, quite often, so I wasn't constrained myself, but it didn't make a lot of difference to me personally. I just felt that sense of liberation, knowing that people weren't working.
Well, we hear it from people once a week. We always get a comment saying Jim seems a bit relaxed, or he seems like he's tired or something because it's just
financially speaking, lockdown, the whole COVID thing probably cost me $1 million, but by comparison with my income, it's not a huge amount, and it's actually helped us to grow faster. But I'm in touch with a lot of franchisees. I talk to many franchisees every day, mostly by email, and so if things go wrong, I feel it, and it's very hard to take. Not as hard as them, but you hear bad things happening, and it's a burden.
So David Dolan says, I was working on a farm yesterday. It was a beef farm. They are spending $500,000 on a shelter for the cows, so they can double their production. What do you think about that? Beef farms.
Yeah, well, I'm not crazy about beef. I don't think it's a healthy sort of meat, and it's not good for the environment. The hooves trample the ground and they damage it, and they belch methane. I mean, I'm just not a big fan.
Tony Stairs is a first-time watcher and a sharer. What on, Tony? I think you're a young fella. He's gone, I just joined the stream. What tips do you have for someone starting a business, from Tony?
Go to jibs.net, meet Jim, and download a copy of my book, Tony. Every customer a fan, and it really talks about customer service in spades. And then look at some of the other stuff around. I would suggest that you read as much as you possibly can about business and about business stories. The good thing about my business story is that it's actually relevant to people who are starting a business from nothing, because a lot of the book is exactly how I did it from the beginning and the principles of it, and starting at 8 years old, learning the lessons of customer service and some of the most basic principles. And it's read a lot. And talking books are great too. If you're actually out in the field, if you can listen to a talking book, you can be actually working and listening at the same time and learning, doing two things at once. When you're driving, you're listening and learning. Talking books are absolutely wonderful. This little gadget here, I absolutely love it. At the moment, I'm actually listening to a book about how I lost $1 million, which is about a trader and how he lost $1 million and the lessons he learned from it, which is quite interesting in terms of the psychology of the thing and so forth. And what he said he learned a lot more from losing money than from gaining it.
Yeah, you often hear that, don't you? You often hear that about people.
I just also finished reading a book, listening to a talking book about Breaker Morant.
Who's Breaker Morant?
He was an Australian who
I had
was...
the book club written down on Arship, so this is good timing.
He was actually an Englishman. He lived in Australia for 20 years, but he was he went to South Africa and fought in the Boer War, and he shot some Boer prisoners, and he was shot for it. And some people are very upset about that. They think he was unfairly treated, but actually Peter Fitzsimons doesn't. So it's
Peter Fitzsimons on.
Very moving. But I love Peter Fitzsimons. I'm a great fan of his. Very brilliantly readable, entertaining, thought-provoking writer.
There you go. If you probably recognise him, he's always on the Today Show with the red bandana. That's Peter's trademark. The Dave McDonald says, Joel, can we do a podcast with Jim on communism? We request for you to do a podcast on communism. We always ask for topics and requests, so that's a good one.
Well, I won't give a very positive view of it.
I don't know, we could do it. Why not? If you want to, we've had that's a nice topic to be suggested. We could definitely do it later down the track. Then Dave McDonald says, Jim, what happens if you kick the bucket before your research is finalised?
I have a son, Andrew, who's just in the process of doing a PhD in neuroscience, and he's a complete believer and understands it, and he would take control of the research foundation. And most of my wealth, such as it is, would be funding that research institution. I've no intention of making my children millionaires. A little bit of help with the house.
Unlucky to any kids watching.
Sorry. I think too much money just spoils people. And my kids are all quite capable. They'll all make their living okay. With help, little bit of help with housing, I'll give them. Apart from that, I'll fund the research fund. I have total confidence in Andrew. It's an enormous blessing to have a son. I don't have an obvious business heir yet, but I have something far more important than research here, and Andrew's totally up. In fact, the books by history you can read on the website were actually co-written with him.
Yeah, and there's 4 videos you can watch as well, and I've actually watched them all. So.
Yeah, the 4 videos that are there, actually, you'll see Andrew Penman there. He actually directed them.
And we've got Neil Simpson says, Jim, do you think Australia should have followed NZ with the way we dealt with COVID? I think Neil's in the NZ.
I think we did pretty well ourselves. And in fact, we actually managed to achieve much the same results without the severity of the lockdown, apart from in Victoria and now in South Australia. So I think, until the disaster of the Victorian quarantine blunder, which was a real fault of the government, I think actually we did a lot better.
Okay.
But before, apart from that, our death rate was similar to New Zealand at less cost. So I think as a whole, the country is probably, with the exception of one particular person in Victoria I won't mention, I think we've actually done pretty well.
And then Tony's, good question though, good comment there, Neil, over at NZ. And then Tony Stair's gone, we need to get Jim on the Joe Rogan podcast. You ever heard the Joe Rogan podcast? He's probably the biggest podcaster in the world. He sold his podcast to Spotify for $100 million.
Wow.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I don't know, but generally Joe Rogan reaches out to people he's interested in. So I don't know in America, in Texas, if he's heard of Jim, I don't know. And David Don says, I could have bought a pizza shop at 19. I regret that day every day of the year. And then we have Gilles from before. Giles has gone, thank you so much, Jim. The funny thing is that I actually mow people's lawns around my suburbs. This was a young man before who asked you.
Excellent start.
Yeah.
I mean, lawn mowing may not be the best place to go to because I've already sort of staked that territory fairly well. But I tell you what, there's a lot of things I don't do that Jim's doesn't do, nearly as well as that. So just look around for opportunities. They're all over the place, believe me, they are. I mean, I just see the world bursting with opportunities. There's so many areas that we could get into. I just don't have the time or the energy to put into them. It's not even a matter of money. It's more a case of just how much attention have you got.
Absolutely. Then we've actually had a request for Andrew to come onto the stream.
Andrew.
Yeah. Actually, I had a question here. Maybe you could do a podcast for it. Maybe that'd be a bit more better for it. I don't know. What you think? On biohistory, why not? Have a discussion between you two on it. It'd be quite interesting. I don't know.
Sure, you could.
An easy thing. It's an easy thing to capture, and we could do it. Why not? And then we have one. Is Eric Jurgen says, "I hope the barbecue you cook for us will be real meat. Real meat." So a few people are concerned it won't be real meat.
No, I'm not vegetarian.
So it'll be real meat. Don't worry about that one. And
Actually, one thing I do, the one bit of chicken I do eat, we've got these schnitzels that you buy from Woolworths,
okay.
which is sort of like a chicken and pepper and stuff like that, and it's got a 4 health rating, so it's not unhealthy.
It's all right. It's good.
So I have that, a couple of those, some bread, and I have roasted corn and tomatoes, and then usually some fruit.
Bread's not good for you, though. That's the only thing I'd take out of that.
I don't have very much. There's 2 thin slices of bread.
White bread or wholemeal?
White bread.
White bread.
I'm not a health fanatic. But because I spend quite a few hours a week doing hard physical work, I'm not like to put on weight too much.
Very well, true. You've been in the farm a lot more, haven't you?
Yeah. It's been wonderful because the spring weather is beautiful. I was up there today and it was just fantastic.
Very beautiful day. Then one more from Eduardo's gone, does Jim think we are in an economic deflationary or inflationary period? Thoughts on precious metals as investment? That's a good question, Eduardo.
Well, we're not either inflation or deflation, actually. We're just about zero. If anything, overall, we tend to have mild inflation, but I don't think it's going to last, frankly. In all of Jim's contracts have actually got allowances that if the rate of CPI in a single month is more than 1%, we can actually put our fees up monthly to keep in pace with it.
Okay.
Because I don't believe the paper currencies are going to survive that well in the long term. So I'd be concerned. I certainly wouldn't hold a lot of cash, that's for sure. But there's a lot of useful things you can buy with money. I mean, precious metal is one. It's not particularly my bag of a thing, but get into property, for example, if you can. It's a good idea.
If you don't have that much, you can get Jim's Monopoly as a substitute and buy all the franchises. So you can do that as well for Christmas.
But a lot of people do that. You buy. I had a friend at school who never actually had any particularly good job, but he just used to buy houses and remortgage them and buy another house and just
But that takes a skill though, because you've got to resist a lot of holidays. You've got to resist a lot of things. You've got to manage your money well.
Well, Bruce is not a big spender. He makes me look extravagant.
Well, that's saying a lot.
That's saying something, but it's possible. But look, there's a certain principle to what you do with anything, and that's pay yourself first. Take 10% of whatever you earn, and then put it into something and invest it. And you don't have to buy a house, even if you can't afford to buy a house in a metro area where you live. You can actually go out and buy something in a regional centre, like somewhere like Warrnambool, yeah, or O'Shea. Just choose somewhere which has got reasonable growth prospects. Warrnambool, Wagga, those kinds of places where you can afford to, and where there's quite a decent rate of return, and then put your tenants in, get yourself a good agent, and then let the property go up in value. Borrow against it, try to pay it off, build more property. I'm amazed more people don't do it, actually. Property is a great investment.
Jim's property investment advice, so make sure you seek your own clarification with everything.
Better still, of course, is to get into business for yourself, and then you can. You're not talking about 5% per annum. You're talking about making 30% per annum, which is far better. But in terms of investment, there's a lot of good things.
Then Joe Baywaters real quickly has gone here. Jim needs a gutter cleaning franchise. Don't maybe talk about that. That's why I read that one out. Jim needs a gutter cleaning franchise.
Yeah, we do have the gutter cleaning is a service code that belongs to Mowing.
Yeah. So
we are starting to put on people who are specialist gutter clearers, but they're actually legally mowing franchisees, but they're going to have extra rights to gutter clearing.
Another different signage that we use a logo for.
Different signage. It's actually a green on yellow signage.
Green on yellow, okay.
And they have these machines. The best ones are like truck mounted with very powerful suction and so forth. So it's a good business, actually. Gutter clearing is fantastic. It's amazing we have unserviced gutter clearing jobs, so many of them, tens of thousands a year. You can make yourself $1,000 a day clearing gutters, and it's not a difficult job.
Good money. So for anyone who's watching it, is it really strenuous to your knowledge?
No, not really.
Not really. So sort of if you're an older gentleman.
Sometimes you might need to have a lad and get up there, but then you've got to use a
harness. Be careful.
You've got to use a harness, and you've got to have a working with height certificate for those kinds of things. But often you can do it from the ground. And apparently the double-story gutters are the easiest because they're less likely to get full of mud and so forth, and yet they're very, very lucrative.
A few people pointing out saying Jim's mowing clean gutters as well. Yes, they do. Jim's mowing guys do gutters.
Yeah,
as well.
that's the point. It's a mowing service.
Yeah.
But there's certain people that are looking to specialise in it. And then we start to specifically advertise for it. Like if you look at gutter clearing, if you look at mowing, you'll actually see Jim's in there, Jim's mowing. But if you look at gutter clearing, you most likely won't see us in there.
Mm.
So we need to focus on that. It's a very lucrative business.
Absolutely. So we'll leave it there tonight, guys. So make sure tune in on Monday. Jim's mowing for charity. We're trying to get to 3K. So the original donation was 1K. Katie's already donated. So if you want to donate, there's a link in here. And tune in from 11 a.m. We're going to be on the Instagram and Facebook just taking pictures of Jim doing some mowing and stuff like that. And for the live stream share, we're going to go after and pick someone at random. And we're going to message you as well who'll win this mowing pack. So thanks for that, Jim. Appreciate all the advice tonight for everyone and tuning in online as well.
All right. See you next